Hey Sunday drivers, thanks for coming with us today. We weren't sure what the weather was going to be like. It could either be really sunny like it turned out to be, or it could have been rainy and we weren't sure. So with that uncertainty, we thought, well, what can we go and visit that we could do even in the rain? And we thought, well, let's go and visit a covered bridge. And there happens to be one just about a half an hour south of St. Louis here in Goldman, Missouri. And this is the Sandy Creek Covered Bridge. And it's one of only 4 covered bridges left in Missouri and 3 of a historic design called the Howe Truss Bridge. This bridge here was built in 1872 after the Civil War, and it was designed as a series of 6 bridges to get from Hillsborough, which is the county seat of Jefferson County, up to St. Louis. And so it was part of that route up there. This bridge was actually destroyed 14 years later in 1886 when the Sandy Creek here rose up to flood levels and it took out most of the bridge. But the original bridge was built for $2,000. And I usually hear, when you're talking inflation rates, you want to multiply that by 30. So think about that, $2,000 times 30, that would be about what it would cost today to build this bridge. 14 years later, when it was rebuilt after the flood, it was rebuilt for $1,000 using more than half of the original timbers. They happened to kind of stay here in the plot. But I wanted to talk to you about the design of this bridge because it's actually kind of genius. If you see here, there's a kind of an X shape here, and there are these iron cords. And so what that does is the iron cords kind of bring the compression down, and that X shape spreads the load out over that X, over that whole span. So instead of just having a post where it would push down on one point, it pushes out over a 10-foot period. And that allows you to go across a longer creek. So this is kind of an ingenious design. Well, William Howe was kind of a brilliant inventor, and he came up with this design, like I said, in 1840. But his family was fascinating, so he joined a construction company. He was one of 9 children, and this construction company that he worked for focused more on churches. But he, just like Clarence, loved bridges, and so he started coming up with designs, and he actually holds patent for 2 separate designs, this one and then an improvement to this design. And he later sold the patent rights. But his family was, he wasn't the only inventor in his family. His brother Elias came up with the first commercially viable sewing machine, and his brother Tyler came up with the patent for, what was it again? You know, now I can't remember. You'll just have to look it up. But just fascinating. Born in 1803. So that's just a little bit of history about this bridge particularly, but then also the design of this bridge. And I definitely recommend going and finding some covered bridges in your area. They're all over the country, and you can even find, there's websites that map them all out. And try to find one that you can drive on. This one you can't, but you could up until about the 80s. But until next time, thanks for driving with us.